Dambulla Cave Temple complex is not what you think it is. Let's start at the beginning. Once you come to Dambulla from either Kandy or Kurunagala, you will quickly find the way to this impressive temple. Park your vehicle at the very orderly car park and soon you are on your way. Foreign visitors need a ticket while locals don't. The way up is these stone steps, the so-called King's Way. Walking up these stone stairs, you can really feel the weight of the history beneath your feet. This isn't just a temple, it's an ancient sanctuary that has been alive for over 22 centuries. Monks were living in these natural shelters as early as the 3rd century BCE, but the real turning point happened in the 1st century BCE. King Valagamba was driven out of his capital in Anuradhapura by invading forces and fled into these hills. The forest monks hid him right here in these caves. When he finally reclaimed his throne 14 years later, he transformed these rugged rock shelters into magnificent shrines as a monument of gratitude. For a hot city, this stairway is nice and shaded. There are 5 caves in this amazing complex. The 5 caves of the Dambulla Cave Temple complex is named the Cave of the Divine King, the Cave of the Great Kings, the Great New Monastery, the Western Temple and the Second New Temple. Let's discuss the details when we get to each one. There are flower sellers and people selling antiques along the way. The tedious way up is eased by a cool breeze on and off. The view as you go up these steps is unsurpassed. Amazing view of the whole surrounding. At the very top, we come across a security point where the ticket is checked and they will make sure your attire is modest enough for a temple. And now, I've finally reached the top terrace. It's easy to see why UNESCO declared this a World Heritage Site back in 1991. It is the largest and best preserved cave temple complex in Sri Lanka. Ahead of me is a long white colonnade facade built in the 1930s, acting as a portal into a subterranean world of ancient art. Let's slip off my shoes, step onto the cool stone, and head inside. Stepping out of the bright daylight and through the first doorway, the temperature drops instantly. It takes a moment for my eyes to adjust to the dim, serene twilight, and then, wow, dominating the entire narrow space is a colossal 14-meter reclining Buddha, carved directly out of the living rock. It depicts the parinirvana, the Buddha's final passing away into ultimate peace. The sheer craftsmanship is humbling. You can still see traces of ancient gilding on the elbow. At the Buddha's feet stands a statue of his most devoted disciple, Ananda, weeping for his master. Near the head is an image of the Hindu god Vishnu. Local lore says the cave is named after him because Vishnu used his divine powers to help hollow out these massive caves. The murals on the walls are faded, heavily worn by centuries of oil lamps and burning incense from millions of pilgrims who stood exactly where I am standing right now.
Netun try pawela din.
And listen closely. Drip, drip, drip. Right in the middle of the cave, water drops continuously from a crack in the ceiling into a small bowl. Monks say that even during the most severe droughts, this sacred water never stops flowing. Moving into the second cave, the scale explodes. This is the largest, most breathtaking cavern in the entire complex, about 52 meters wide and over 7 meters tall. As I walk in, I pass a painted wooden statue of King Valagamba himself, guarding the entrance to the sanctuary he founded. Further inside stands a statue of King Nisanka Malla from the 12th century, the monarch who took it upon himself to gild dozens of the statues here, earning the site its classical name, Rangiri, the Golden Rock. The center of the room features a stunning, life-sized granite standing Buddha, framed by an intricately carved Makara Tarana, dragon arch. Everywhere you look, there are seated, standing and reclining Buddhas holding different mudras, hand gestures, some representing meditation, others fearlessness. There are over 50 statues in this single room. But it's the ceiling that stops you dead in your tracks. Over 2,000 square meters of rock surface are covered in vibrant, rich tempera paintings. The artwork flows perfectly along the natural contours of the stone, illustrating scenes from the Buddha's life, his mother Mahamaya's dream, his temptation by the demon Mara, alongside key moments of Sri Lankan history. Walking through the stone doorway into the third cave, the artistic style shifts noticeably. This room was commissioned in the 18th century by King Kirti Sri Rajasingha of Kandy, a legendary Buddhist revivalist whose statue stands tall near the entrance. Because it's a newer cave, the paintings are incredibly vivid and perfectly preserve the classic Kandian artistic style. The ceiling is a mesmerizing masterclass in pattern. Thousands of identical miniature seated Buddhas are painted in neat rows, creating a hypnotic, meditative wallpaper of sacred art. This cave holds another 50 Buddha statues, including a magnificent 30-foot reclining Buddha carved seamlessly out of the master rock, surrounded by dozens of seated figures. The Western Temple, the fourth cave, is much smaller and more intimate. The main attraction here is a beautiful, central seated Buddha resting under another ornate Makara Tarana arch, entirely hewn out of the natural bedrock. Right in the center of the room sits a small stupa known as Soma Chethia. Legend has it that King Valagamba hid his Queen Somawathi's precious jewelry inside this very mound when they were running for their lives from invaders. Sadly, grave robbers broke into it centuries later looking for the treasure, but the spiritual aura of the small shrine remains completely intact. The second new temple. Finally, I step into the fifth and newest cave. While the exact date of its creation is a bit of a mystery, we know it was heavily restored in the early 20th century. Unlike the older caves where statues were carved directly out of the mountain's granite face, the 11 Buddha figures here are constructed using brick and plaster. There is a large 32-foot reclining Buddha resting along the back wall. Standing alongside the Buddhist imagery are statues of Hindu and local deities, including Vishnu and Kataragama, a beautiful testament to how smoothly Buddhist and Hindu traditions have woven together over centuries in Sri Lankan culture.
ඈනේ. මේක පොඩි ගන්නේ. අපි අර මුඩින්ම ගිය එකද කොහෙද නේ ලොකු එක එතකොට.
මේක තමයි මම කියන්නේ මේක දාලා තිබේ ඒකෙන්.
ඒ ලොකු.
තිබ්බි ඉස්සර ලොකු කටහරමක් නේ.
ඔව් දැන් නෑනේ.
මේ කටහරම මම හිතන්නේ දිරලා ගිහින් වෙන්න ඇති.
When you go down, you can use the other exit, where you go down a gradual descent to the newly built golden Buddha statue and a new temple. But it's very hot, so unless it's early morning or late evening, it's a difficult trek.
අක්කයි. හිමීට එනවා එදෙන.
On the way back to the car park, you can go past the Meda Pansala. Since the video is so long already, this will be left for another visit.